Oh, hey, Mike. What are you up to?
Just diagramming this accident with my State Farm Pocket Agent app. You can also get a quote and pay your premium with this thing.
I thought State Farm didn't have all those apps.
Where'd you hear that?
The internet.
And you believed it?
Yeah. They can't put anything on the internet that isn't true.
Where'd you hear that? The internet.
Oh, look. Here comes my date. I met him on the internet. He's a French model.
Bonjour. State Farm. More mobile than...
Bonjour indeed. We are going to talk about digital citizenship today for the next 10 minutes or so. And it's something that you really need to think about and to be diligent about, especially when you are using school-issued technology. But anytime you are using technology, anytime that you're connected to the internet, digital citizenship has a lot of different components to it, and it has a lot of different ideas regarding definitions. So the first thing we need to do is really examine and dissect this idea of digital citizenship.
One thing that we like to emphasize is that we're not just talking about keeping kids safe from the bad stuff, the bad content, and the bad people on the internet, but we're talking about safety to enable them and to empower them to do the great things online, to access the world's information, to collaborate with kids in Russia or in South America on a school project, to immerse themselves in this digital world, providing, of course, they keep a balance and go out in the real physical world too. So it's safety for a purpose. It's safety to enable them to have the opportunity to form and to create relationships online that are healthy, that are productive, and ultimately will become the foundation for what we call digital citizenship.
All right, so he didn't necessarily define digital citizenship. He did say that digital citizenship is really about safety so that we can immerse ourselves into digital communities while striking a balance with being part of the real world. So there's some other more defined definitions that I want to look at. The first one is from Terry Hayek of teachthought.com. He says, it's the quality of habits, actions, and consumption patterns that impact the ecology of digital content and communities. I think that's a bit convoluted, but I like the point that he's trying to bring in this idea that the digital community and the content there really forms its own ecology. And so what he's doing here is he's beginning to blend this idea that we have society and we have the real world, quote unquote, but then there's this other world that we are engaged in and we're immersed in and become a part of, and that's the digital world. This definition is a little bit more easy to understand. Mike Ribble says, digital citizenship is the norms of appropriate and responsible behavior with regard to technology use. And that's what we're going to focus on today. It's easy to wrap your head around, and it's easy to make a connection with that. It has to do with everything that we know is the right thing to do in the regular world. We need to apply those same principles and values to our digital identities and the way we're interacting in a digital environment. So Mike Ribble goes on, and this is a really powerful quote. Students need to be educated on how to be good citizens of their country and what their rights and responsibilities are as members of society. And I don't think anyone would argue that. You can talk to all of your history and social studies teachers, and really any teacher, especially in an election year, to talk about the importance of understanding our rights, our responsibilities, and those basic components of society. He goes on to say, though, that the same issues need to be addressed with regard to the emerging digital society so that students can learn how to be responsible and productive members of that society. So what Mike Ribble has done is he's completely separated our real-world society from the digital society. It's its own entity, and we are part of that society. So it becomes more and more important to engage in and develop good digital citizenship habits. So there are really 9 major elements of digital citizenship. And those 9 elements you can think of as being very similar to elements that we have in our normal everyday society. You have things like access to different areas. You have law, commerce, the use of monies, and transfer of goods and services, wellness, communication, digital etiquette, security, etc., etc. And we could go into depth with all of these, but we're going to focus on those major things that speak back to that definition of the responsibilities and accountability that you have to be good digital citizens. And that's, we're going to look at the rights and responsibilities, digital literacy, and digital etiquette. So those three elements really encompass into this idea of what's called a digital footprint. There are a couple videos that we're going to watch, and I think they do a better job of really identifying and describing digital footprint than I could do. So here's the first. So that's more of an all-encompassing broad look at what a digital footprint is. There were some pieces that I think it's important to take away, especially that idea of being permanent. Everything that we do online, every click that we make, every letter that we type is permanent. The next speaker, a guy by the name of Paul Davis, who is an expert in digital security, cyberbullying, and some other areas, he really hammers home some details that you really need to think about.
Now, some people say digital trails, digital footprints are the same thing. I actually break them down into two. Let's talk about digital trails. Let me give you some examples. Sending a text message. The sending device, the receiving device, the servers in between. If I send a text message that is hateful, threatening, bullying, or racist, I can delete the message off my device not to get in trouble. But the person who received it now has a copy on their device. If they report it to law enforcement and they investigate it, they can contact my phone company, their phone company, and get information as to when I sent the message or when that message was received. When you go online and you send an email, emails leave so many digital trails, it's unimaginable how many servers they hit before they actually hit the recipient's device. Let's say, I want to use your teachers as an example. Let's say your teachers come to school and they give you a test. And then they sit behind their computer and they decide they're going to email 25 friends and family about a big party they're having on the weekend. Well, that's a mistake. Because the school board will know when they send the email, at what time, from what computer, to whom, what was the context of that email. And if that computer was in class where the teacher's supposed to be teaching and they sent it from that computer, the school board will know. What about if your principals come to school and they decide to surf the web and they decide, I need to do some shopping. I'm a principal, I can't leave, but I need to go online and do some shopping. So they spend an hour at walmart.ca to do some shopping. After an hour, they come out of the office with a big smile on their face because they're getting the order shipped to their home, and they'll think, well, no one will know. Well, they're mistaken because the school board will know when they went online, how long they were online, and when they left. These are trails of their actions. Every time you post something on BlackBerry Messenger, Kik, Facebook, Twitter, every example up there leaves a trail. You know that Ask website where you thought it was anonymous? Well, for those at St. Mary, I busted that myth. I showed them exactly where Ask FM servers reside, and now how law enforcement have access to your IP addresses, the context of what was sent, received, and posted. I know you guys use this thing called yik something, yok, yik, yak. I'm making fun. You know what? Most people think, well, no one will know. That's completely anonymous. Look at the legal section within Yik Yak. You know what you will find? You will find how they will relinquish information to law enforcement with a simple subpoena. None of these trails disappear, and they lead to your digital footprints. Let me give you examples of digital footprints. What you write to your hard drive is now physically written. What you write to a memory card, a flash drive, your smartphone. If you're a console gamer, a lot of them have hard drives, it will write information to the hard drive. Cloud storage. People think the cloud, it's virtual, it's out there. The cloud is a physical hard drive, except it gives you easy access to what you posted up on the web. But it's physically written somewhere on a hard drive. So go back to point number one, it's written there. And of course, your footprints stamped every time you visit a social networking site. Why? Because it's posted. So now let's talk about digital trails and footprints. You transmit something from your smartphone to Facebook. You left a trail and you've left a footprint. You transmit something from your computer to cloud storage. You've got the stamp, the footprint on your computer. You've got the trail to the cloud storage. You've got another footprint on cloud storage. Handheld device to Instagram. You post a simple comment. You like a picture. You've left a trail of what is permanently online in a digital footprint. And we can go through example after example after example. But I'm here to tell you, you leave both trails and footprints every time you go online.
So the bottom line is we have to be very conscious of everything that we're doing on the internet. It's not like the real world, in that in the real world, you can make a mistake. You can say something to a friend sarcastically. You can have a bad day and say things that you don't mean to someone that you actually kind of care about. But in a digital realm, all of those different mistakes, anything that you do will and can follow you. And it's not hyperbole, it's factual. Paul Davis even alluded to the fact that it's not just in the digital space, it's physically manifested on hard drives. So as we are using our new computers, as we're engaging in internet activities, as you're using your webcam, please think before you click. Think about all of those different things that we learned from those videos. Are the things that you're doing true, helpful, inspiring, necessary, and kind? And I think those are really good rules of thumbs to follow. Over the next year, your teachers will continue to talk to you about digital citizenship and to make sure that we are abiding by our AUP, our acceptable use policy that we signed. We are engaging in appropriate and responsible uses of technology, and we are really being good stewards of values that we hold true and to be right.
Saving your work is very important, as we don't want you to lose any of the work that you've done on your computer. The first way to save your documents I'm going to look at is Google Drive. You can access that through your Homestead main page under the Students tab, and then click on Google Drive. When you get into your Google Drive account, you can see you have your mail, your account, and then you have your Google Drive. When I open that up, you will see that you can make all different kinds of documents here in Google Drive. If I click on New, I can make a Google Doc, which is the same thing pretty much as Word, Google Sheets, which is like Excel, and then Google Slides, which would be like PowerPoint. If I open up a new Google document and start working in it, I can type my essay, and whenever I'm done, it will save it. So it doesn't matter if your computer shuts down because you lose power or whatever, it is in the cloud. It will always be available to you. You can access your Google Drive even on your smartphone. There's a free app for Drive. And then if something would happen where your computer wasn't working at home and you didn't have another computer, if your smartphone was available, you could use that. And in fact, a lot of students have started to use their phone and record their voice, and then they use the voice to text option. So they kind of talk their essays into the Google Drive. So that's one option. When you get in here to Google Drive, you can also download documents into Word. So say you need it formatted a particular way because you're writing a paper in MLA or APA style. You can download your document to Word, and then in your last step when you're, going through to finalize it, then you can put those finesse items on, like your hanging indents or double spacing, that kind of thing. Google Docs can be a great friend to you, and I strongly recommend you use Google Docs. If you don't want to, because you like a Word, you can still use Word. When you're in here and working on Word, when you go to File and Save As, you will see this PC. All right, when we get into this PC over here, okay, you can see this PC, OneDrive, and then the network. Okay, under this PC, if I click on it, the C drive is one place that I can save it. The C drive is to this computer. If something would happen to this computer, I would no longer have my document. This network location, where you see your student identification number, that is also a place to save your work. When you save your work there, when you go home, you will need to access your work through the Aurora filter. I'm going to go back to my Homestead main page, and if I scroll down on the page, you will see Network Folder and Network Folder Instructions. If I click on my network folder, I will go to the login screen. I'll put my student ID and login there. When I open that document up, I can finish working on it. However, don't just click Save. It's not going to save correctly. You're going to have to save it with a different name, and then you're going to have to upload it to your Aurora account again. So that's one step that people tend to make mistakes with and then lose their things. But one really important thing to do is to save more than one place. Save to Google Drive and to a flash drive. Save to Google Drive and your network folder. Make sure that you're backing up your work. If you have any questions about your network folder or your Google account, feel free to come to the Media Center. Thank you.